Well, that didn't work. Hi, Kim McAllister in for Nikki Maduro. We had recorded a video that I really wanted to show you guys, and for some reason, I can't get it to play, which is such a bummer because we had talked about May the 4th and Carrie Fisher's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and a bunch of other things, but for some reason, sadly, I can't make it work, and I'm a little bit bummed out about that right now at this moment. But hi, how's everybody? Thank you for being here on the Nikki Maduro Show. Much appreciated for you coming on over. It is Thursday, and there is a lot to talk about. May the 4th be with you. Uh, it's a Star Wars celebration day, and it's an interesting day because Carrie Fisher is getting her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And it was something Nikki had mentioned to me last night was that Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billy, did not invite all of Carrie Fisher's siblings to this event today. So there's some discord within the family there. And that is something she had mentioned, and we talked about. Interesting conversation. Wes, thank you for the $5. Of course, you know the show is crowdfunded. You can see Wes already trying to help us out. And so we do appreciate that. TheNikkiMaduroShow.com is where you'll find the Patreon and PayPal links. And that Patreon, boy, that's amazing when you contribute to that. We appreciate any way you can help us out. TheNikkiMaduroShow.com is where you can find all of that information. And of course, if you ever want to email or chat with any of us or comment about the show after the fact, if you're listening on a recording, you can leave a comment in the show on YouTube, or you can also email us. You can email the show, and Nikki will see that first at thenikkimaduroshow@gmail.com. And you can always email me. It is Kim McAllister. My name's spelled right here, 2 C's, 2 L's, at gmail.com. And if you are here and can, please click the like button. We appreciate all the support and the help on that as well. So after the video that Nikki and I had prepared for you, what I wanted to do was read some news because for the last few days, pardon me, when I've been filling in for Nikki, I haven't really had a chance to do a meaty newscast for you guys. So I had prepared one of those. But I also want to let you know that there's some things coming up. It is Thursday, so we have Jefferson Graham, who will be here to talk about. He's got the 10 best secrets on your iPhone for taking pictures. It is the 10 best underutilized hidden features of the iPhone camera. And one of them is the burst mode. So he'll be here talking with us about those hidden features that can maybe improve your picture taking. And we'll also talk with Krista Herman with the San Francisco SPCA, and she's got a couple dogs to show us. And these dogs are a little different. They're foster to adopt. So you kind of get to test them out before you decide if it's their forever home. So that's kind of cool. Two dogs, Corrine and Rex. So she'll be showcasing those animals here, and it's really something wonderful that we're able to do, and hopefully get these dogs adopted and get them into homes where they're loved and cared for and secure. So first, let me do a little bit of news because I have been remiss in doing that on this show, and I do want to make sure that you're all up to date on everything. So let's do that. See if I can't get my news sounder. Do I have it? Because I can't do the news without it.
Now, from
There
around
you
the
go.
world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
That's right. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Maduro Show. Something we talked about together yesterday, and I have a poll to share with you today, which is kind of related. Over half of Americans think Congress should regulate AI technology. A poll from the Tech Oversight Project shows 54% of registered voters asked said lawmakers should take swift action to make sure technology works in a way that protects privacy and safety. Just 15% of those who responded to this survey said regulating AI would put a stop to innovation and be more disadvantageous to the United States. The report also says 41% of voters said Congress should be responsible for regulation. 20% said big tech companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, or Microsoft should be the ones leading the way. Kind of interesting how we were just talking about that yesterday. A progressive Democrat says the White House is not prepared for the end of Title 42. In letters to President Biden and Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, Arizona Congressman Ruben Gallego raised concerns the administration has not done enough really to prepare the border communities for an expected surge in migration next week when the public health order ends. Title 42 has been used to expedite deportations. It does expire on May 11th. Gallego said mayors and county officials have expressed confusion around the administration's policy on migrant processing. So he thinks maybe not as much has been done to really prepare these communities. There are two hotels. This is kind of like a TV series or movie. Two hotels in Laguna Beach, California, are expected to reopen today after a 20-person brawl. Hotel Laguna and 14 West Laguna Beach closed on Wednesday after the big fist fight on Tuesday. It was the city that ordered these hotels to shut down. Citing public safety concerns, authorities say two different security teams armed with guns had fights at each hotel. Investigators say it stemmed from this ongoing civil dispute about operating and management authority at these properties. One person was arrested, lawsuits have been filed by both groups involved, and really, what a mess. We talked about this earlier, but worth mentioning again here, several San Francisco supervisors are now demanding charges be filed in that Walgreens shooting. I think we also talked about that yesterday. They want the district attorney, Brooke Jenkins, to take a second look at this case. She already said evidence shows a private security guard acted in self-defense when he killed a suspected shoplifter last week. While one supervisor thinks this at least deserves manslaughter charges and plans to draft a resolution now asking the DA to reconsider her decision on this one. And more information about Senator Dianne Feinstein and calls for her to resign. Governor Gavin Newsom is now speaking out, and he says he really hopes that Senator Feinstein doesn't resign early. He said he would have to appoint a replacement if she leaves before her term is up. It doesn't look like he's really into doing that. The California Democrat plans to step down next year, sorry, Feinstein, but more lawmakers are calling for it to happen now, of course, as she continues to miss votes while recovering from shingles. The Senate leader Chuck Schumer is hopeful she'll return to D.C. next week, but so far, there's no timeline yet for Feinstein's return. California's ban on assault weapons, it's staying put. A state appeals court ruled a decision by the Supreme Court will not stop what's been in place since 1989. That means it is still legal to have or to sell high capacity rifles, which can be fired repeatedly without reloading. The appeals court says the weapons aren't typically used for lawful purposes. This comes as some groups justified a lawsuit trying to end the 10-day waiting period to buy a gun. But again, California's ban on assault weapons is staying put. A Southern California senator running for Congress now facing DUI charges. Dave Min was released from jail yesterday after being arrested on Tuesday night, just blocks away from the state capitol. CHP officers say he went through a red light, so they pulled him over. They say he showed signs of being drunk, and then he tested over the legal limit. That's what the police say. Min posted an apology on Facebook, accepting full responsibility and saying there's no excuse for his actions. He's been endorsed by Congresswoman Katie Porter to fill her House seat. So, Google employees complaining a bit about their CEO, Sundar Pichai's pay, workers criticizing Pichai for not taking a pay cut while the company cuts costs and eliminates 12,000 positions. According to SEC filings, Sundar Pichai made $226 million in compensation last year. He's not taking a cut. Slack introducing new artificial intelligence tools to enhance its messaging experience. This is interesting. These tools include message tone adjustments, missed message summaries, writing assistance, and note taking during calls. The San Francisco based company that is owned by Salesforce plans to make the features available within a year. So, that is the news on the Nikki Maduro Show, and you can comment about any of those stories if you would like to. Let's take a look at what you've had to say so far. Hola, Julie. Nice to see you. Absolutely. Uh, yeah, SF Tesla talking about this case. Man, armed guards. Yeah, they had to shut the hotels down. These security guards were not having it. Uh, oh, Karen, I hope that's not true, but yes, I hear what you're saying about that. A homicide is becoming more and more justifiable to accommodate more incidents with guns, writes Square. I think you're referring to the security guard incident in San Francisco. But I mean, look, if the security guard was acting in self defense, how can you charge the person? No. Nemin says people are out of control. Instead of going after the gun users, they make homicide more forgivable. Balance. SF Tesla says, ironically, that's why the hotels had to hire the guards. They get that sort of fighting from the public at this time of year. It's a seasonal thing, like spring break kind of fighting, right? Yeah. Uh, so you guys, welcome and thank you for participating in the conversation. I'm gonna do it again. You know, I love it when you call me. Nikki and I were talking about it yesterday, and she can't figure out why you won't call her when she's on, but you will call when I'm on by myself. And the only thing we can figure out is that maybe you feel bad for me that I'm going solo. If that's the case, I'll take the pity. I really will. The pity is fine. Bring me the phone calls. I love it. Or the video calls. You can you can use your video and I love to see you and that's great, but you don't have to. If you're bashful or shy or your background isn't all fancy, not like mine is, but you can have the gray face of mystery, which is provided when you call in. Just click block camera, and that's all that's needed to do there. So please give me a call if you want to talk about any of the stories I just read, from AI to the hotel to the DA to whatever. Uh, Tone adjustment regarding the AI story, where Slack is going to put some new features on their messaging system. Lori writes, tone adjustment could be really useful. One of the big drawbacks of written messages is you can't determine tone. I like to write so I don't forget things, and I have many times been misinterpreted due to tone. I think we all have, Lori, because what you say and the way you say it. I mean, so say I'm just saying I hate you, right? If I write it, you're like, "Whoa, really?" But if I say, "I hate you," the way you say something, the way you, um, inflect, the way you, your eye, your body language, everything all kind of goes to this overall message. So if there's no face involved, it's really hard. But my question is, if people can't adjust their own tone, how is AI going to do that? How does AI know what I mean when I say I hate you? How does it know that I'm joking or being facetious or, just saying it as a rib? How does AI get that tone adjustment, and are they going to get it right? And if they don't, is it going to be an even bigger thing? I don't know if I trust AI to it's all we talked about yesterday, the nuance of things, right? And so how does AI get that? I don't know if they do. I don't know. I love you guys too, really, Nemin, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. I miss you when we don't do the show or when I'm not around. So absolutely. I'm really glad we're able to do this. I was thinking about that today. I made some reference about referring to 810 the spread, and I started thinking about being laid off. And I mean, yes, it's bad not to have a job. We hopefully, well, or not hopefully, but likely most of us have been through that before, where we've had a period of time where there's been some insecurity, or we don't understand or don't know if we're going to work again or when. But to have this with you, to kind of be doing the same thing, and I said that really poorly, I'm sorry, to be doing the same thing and to be continuing these shows, it's been amazing and wonderful, and I really hope it keeps going. Beth, you put your finger on it. We love you, but we can see how tough a single person is going on the air. It's true. Although I will say, a really experienced talk show host like Nikki can do it. Mark, Pat, I mean, it's always more fun to have someone to talk with and banter with. They could do the show though by themselves, eyes closed. That's where I fall short because for me, it's all about the give and take and the conversation. So, absolutely. There's a whole elementary digital citizenship lesson about this. Yeah. About what tone and saying how, writing how you mean it, what you mean. Yeah. Lori also says, I think the AI could make suggestions rather than just letting it correct your words without you reviewing it. If AI told me this could be interpreted this way or that way, it would be helpful to me. I could see that, unless they get it wrong, but that would still be amusing, I guess, if they did. Sometimes, though, I find that annoying. And when you write something, you type something, and then the phone corrects it to something you didn't mean, or something misspelling, or gets it wrong, that their help can be more of a bad thing than a good thing occasionally. I don't know. If AI is smart, says Square, is that smart, it probably won't want anything to do with us. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Doing a live show with live calls and or chat is much harder than shows with no interaction. I don't know. I mean, well, one could argue that live calls and chat is really interaction. So, it gives you something to talk about and people to talk with, and that's easier, I think. I don't know. But I sure wish I could play that video. What happened was I clicked away and then I left the show and the video was playing in a whole nother window. So I wish I were a little bit quicker on the uptake with those things. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of stories to talk about today. And of course, really the big story, I think, is the conviction of the Proud Boys for seditious conspiracy. I'm very I find myself very relieved that that worked out the way it did. It kind of makes me have more faith in our system, because over time I kept seeing these people involved in January 6th, not 16th, and they were convicted of these little things, and they were given, 3 months home confinement or 5 months in county lockup or whatever it was, but it wasn't what I thought was enough. It didn't rise to the level of what I saw that day at the Capitol. And so to have a seditious conspiracy conviction, I'll take that. Absolutely will take that. Yeah. I know seditious conspiracy dates back to the Civil Wars. It's defined as a plot to overthrow the government. So they convicted four of the five Proud Boys members, didn't reach a verdict for the fifth. Seditious conspiracy can carry a pretty stiff sentence. So, we're yet to find out exactly what the sentence will be on that. But I hope they throw the book at them, honestly. I really hope they do. I hope they get the maximum, absolute maximum. These are people that hurt America. They're violent and dangerous people, and they should have a huge consequence and penalty. Well, another story today, and we talked about this as well, about um, people working for a pittance and ending up, people that are still working and ending up homeless. I think we talked about that yesterday with Angel. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says millions of Americans are currently working for starvation wages. Sanders proposing legislation to raise the national minimum wage to $17 an hour. He chairs the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, which he said will mark up this bill in June. $17 an hour. Is that enough? I mean, that's not enough in California. When you talk about having to pay, you know, $3,000 a month for just an apartment, is that what the going rate is? 2 or 3,000 at least? 2,500 for a little tiny one to pack everybody into? $17 an hour isn't going to cut it. I mean, imagine trying to pay for an apartment, pay for food, which is, I mean, every time you walk into the grocery store, it's another 100 or so. Pay for, if you have kids, a couple activities, or a yearbook at the end of the school year, which I just bought. All these things add up. $17 an hour, I don't know. Yeah, says the girl who's making $0 an hour, right? Uh, right. I don't know. But I feel like it's better than nothing and might help a lot of people because I hate to see people that are working at jobs and are just making too little money end up in a world of hurt. Karen writes, seditious conspiracy is a stab at the heart of the country and democracy. Extremely serious, and it should be treated that way. Yeah. Daniel writes, I'm sorry, these guys would have never done what they did if not encouraged by Donald Trump. And I was reading this op-ed earlier, Daniel, on CNN regarding the situation, and they called the Proud Boys in this op-ed, so it wasn't a news piece, just an opinion piece. They called the Proud Boys Trump's standing army. You know, remember Proud Boys stand back and stand by, like he's giving them directions. You know, were they acting at his behest that day? Knit one, Pearl one. California allowed that 10% rent increase last year. No real affordable housing for working people, rent or buy. Floyd's Key says, rent a room, you're still barely making it. That's not fair. You know, you're putting real stress on many, many people with this. Kim says Trump was the main instigator, but that group was looking for a good excuse to do what they did on January 6th. And this op-ed that I was reading, Kim, talked about their violent history just within the months surrounding the January 6th incident, before and after, and how many violent protests they went to and were involved in. Yeah. Trump always spoke, writes Karen, to the Proud Boys like they were his army. Deidre. Are we surprised, Deidre? There is nothing on Fox regarding the Proud Boys verdict. How do they not have anything on that? Do they still think, I guess maybe people that realized they were being lied to and duped have left Fox? Do they still think, though, that that's their core audience, so they just don't want to? Oh, you guys, I have to show you what is on Fox today. I hate doing this because I hate to give their website any more clicks. But yeah, let's see what that's at the top of their website. Pro-trans activist delivers blood-curdling scream at San Francisco public hearing. Feel our pain. You think that's funny? I guess Fox thinks that's somehow funny. Screeching halt, it says. Hmm. Manhunt underway about a woman's death on a hiking trail. Verdict reached in the Ed Sheeran case. And governor's race goes national as Republican senator backs former UN ambassador. So it looks like Cruz is backing Haley. That's it. I don't see, I'll scroll way far down. I don't see any Proud Boys. I think you're right. Look at that. Wow. Not even on the front page. Trump has stern words for Biden for refusing to attend Charles' coronation. That's what you got. All right, Fox. What a disappointment. Well, what an expected disappointment, I should say. Really? Stop screen. Ugh. How do you not have that? You're remiss. You're laughable by saying news and not having the top story of the decade. Seditious conspiracy. How do you not put that as the lead? How much is a yearbook going for nowadays? Because I'm class of 77, I'm sure it went up a little bit. $25. That's just for the 8th grade yearbook, or for the elementary school 8th grade yearbook. I'm sure the high school ones are a lot more. Mike, if Donald Trump wins in 2024, he'll pardon the Proud Boys. I don't even like to think about that. Honestly, I don't. No can do. Cheryl, I was in an affordable housing, just saw an apartment that was 300 square feet and $1,700. For real? 300 square feet? No real kitchen and no closets. I said, no, thank you. That's ridiculous. How do you expect people to live like that? There are people that, $1,700 maybe all they have. They've got a kid. They move into a place like this, and you've got, two, three, four people living in this tiny, tiny little 300 square foot place, working these jobs that pay nothing. The army was looking for someone like Trump. I think by the army, you mean the Proud Boys, right? His brown shirt equivalents. They have it on their website. You just have to search for the story. It's not on the front page. It should be, John. That's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe they have the story written or copied and pasted from somewhere else that you have to look for. It should be front and center. Am I wrong? I mean, how is it that we have 4 people in America convicted of seditious conspiracy for riots on the US Capitol and trying to thwart a US election of a president? How is that not your lead? It's shocking. They were organized before Trump seized on using them. There were numerous groups of white supremacists around before them. That's true. I think that's true. And he, yeah. I just because they were organized before him, doesn't mean he didn't rally them up and stir them up. Floyd's key. Trump is guilty as hell. He wanted to be a flat out dictator. There are tapes of Ted Cruz involved in the attempted turning over of the election. I don't know about tapes of Ted Cruz. Interesting, though. Yeah. Deidre says, I didn't say news. Right. Well done, Deidre. Fox Faux News, says John, doesn't want to mention January 6th at all. They only do it when the story is too big to bury. This one is. That's what I'm saying. Why bury this one? It reminds people of the violence, and that turns people off Trump and off the GOP. Yes, it would be in their best interest to sweep it under the rug, I guess. But I would argue that it's in the best interest of all of America to put it front and center, to finally at least find something we can agree on, American ideals. Our votes count, our election process is important to us and important to this democracy. We can't agree on that. Huge problem. No president has ever attended a British coronation, says Beth. That's right. I think that Jill Biden was going, but not President Biden. Yeah. $120 for a high school yearbook? Wow. I mean, it's thick. It's, depending on the cover, got a lot of pictures in there. I don't know. You guys have your old yearbooks? I have mine right up here, I think. Yeah. Here's one. Let's see if I can pull it out. I mean, some of them are pretty nice, I think. I'll close my cabinet. This is the Petaluma High School yearbook. I didn't graduate from that high school, but yeah. I mean, they're pretty substantial, pretty big. $120 though, that's kind of a lot. I don't know. So you ever see people around and then go, I think I know them from high school, and go look it up in your high school yearbook? A 77 yearbook is that antique? That's not 77. That's from the 80s. It is what it is. Square writes, Fox has a do not comment list, like the Tucker ejection, Proud Boys, George Santos. So predictable. It's predictable but sad, especially when you have such a huge story. Before that, they had the Ed Sheeran story as number 1. I'm very, speaking of Ed Sheeran, I'm pleased with the outcome of that trial. How about an 88 yearbook? Just old. Yeah, that's what my other one is. That's what my other one is, 88. I'm old too. We're all old together. It's fine. Knit one, Pearl one. I called Trump early when he said those things about Mexican Americans and didn't tank. I thought he's saying what some people are thinking. Unfortunately, you're right. Calvin writes, retrofitting office buildings takes about 2 years. Hmm. I think the Star City dorm style buildings will help a big segment of renters, people needing housing now. When you talk about, I think we've talked about on the show before the plan to turn a lot of these office buildings in San Francisco that are lying vacant into housing. So maybe that will help somebody. I don't know. Faux news ratings in the toilet. Every show across the board. Kim Schaefer, uh, John Slade, except faux news is all about the violence. Karen writes, you'd think Fox would become a legitimate news organization after the trial with Dominion exposing what they are? No, no. $10. Really? 1969 yearbook cost you $10? Times have changed. $120. I can't believe that. John says they had a hand spreading the big lie. That's why they lost all that money to Dominion. Trevor, my daughter is on the yearbook and didn't even get a free one. Didn't even get a discount. Come on. I did yearbook as well my senior year of high school. And I did the writing for it. You know, some people took the pictures, some people did the layouts. I was the person who wrote like the little blurb on the pages. So, class of 88, woohoo. You know, the saying for that class. I think every class has their own little rhyme. The class of 88's was, I hate to so stupid too. Love is fun, sex is great. We're the class of 88. Music is all derivative. Yeah, but if you heard the song, Let's Get It On, and the Ed Sheeran song, it seemed like you could tell there was some type of, the chords underneath might have been similar along with the beat, but the lyrics and the tone and melody of the lyrics were completely different. Mm, $24 doesn't seem so bad. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know how we got off on the price of yearbooks, but absolutely. I have that yearbook. What's your maiden name? My maiden name is McAllister, is what it is. It's my real name, my maiden name. Not my married name, but my maiden name. That's where you'll find me. As viewers jump from Fox, are they heading to Newsmax? I don't know. I guess there's always a something else to fill the vacuum, right? Something else coming right behind it. Mm, great song. We're not that creative. I think it was like 88 is great. Yeah. Well, that was the 80s. It wasn't very creative all the way around. I don't know. Maiden name, she says, Karen. How quaint. No other term for it, though. No, there really isn't. I guess I was a maiden at some point in this life. Does maiden mean a virgin? I think so, doesn't it? I don't know. I'll get myself in trouble without Nikki here to get in worse trouble. I should probably just avoid, avoid, avoid. Uh, it looks like I don't know if you are a connoisseur of Disney news, but the happiest place on earth will be hosting several get-togethers at area parks in Anaheim to introduce residents to Disneyland Forward. It's an expansion project said to take decades, not a new theme park for Disney, but an expansion of both existing parks, making them bigger. Disneyland and California Adventure. The plans expand both the east and west edges of the Disneyland resort with added attractions, new retail opportunities, of course, dining and entertainment and parking. Some of the lands in the plan include projects based on Frozen, Tangled, Zootopia, Toy Story, and Tron. Currently, the Anaheim theme park is under city planning and zoning guidelines limiting expansion, according to the website. So, yeah, they're going to be hosting these get togethers for residents there in Anaheim, trying to introduce this whole idea of expanding the park. It's interesting because you look at the way it is right now, and it's surrounded by major streets on every side. So, having an expansion you would think would really switch up everything, but I mean, it's possible. You look at Disney World and all the different parks associated with Disney World and how much smaller Disneyland is. Oh, it'd be interesting if they got a Tron and a Frozen and a Tangled. One thing I think about Disneyland is really other than Fantasyland and Toontown, which is really small, there's not much of a place for you to take your little kids, your really tiny kids, toddlers, kindergartners. There's a lot of rides that are appropriate for 8 and through your teens, but the little ones, sometimes it's hard to find a place. And they took in California Adventure, they had a Bug's Life with a bunch of rides that were really good for little kids in this little water park area where water shot out of the ground and kids loved it. And they took it away to make room for, I think, Marvel Universe or something. So maybe if they do expand it, they'll have better offerings for people with really little kids. Oh, I don't know. It would be good. An update on this Proud Boy verdict that we were talking about. It looks like the fifth Proud Boy member on trial for seditious conspiracy has been found not guilty. Earlier today, 4 other Proud Boys members who were also on trial were convicted of seditious conspiracy. The Justice Department charged the men, of course, in connection with their roles in the Capitol riot. The trial of this white nationalist group has been ongoing since December. That fifth, though, found not guilty. So that's an interesting turn of events. A little update on that story. An update also on the Fox Dominion settlement, which we had referenced in the chat. Fox says it settled its Dominion voting system's defamation lawsuit for close to $800 million to buy peace. Why do you have to buy peace? If you just didn't instigate all the trouble in the first place, you wouldn't have to buy it. An attorney for the News Corporation wrote in a letter to the judge, Fox wanted to end the continued media spectacle of the case. She said Fox is still against news organizations filing motions to unseal redacted material in the court filings that amount to thousands of pages. So they want to keep some stuff, some evidence that was possibly going to be used at trial secret. There must be some good juicy juice in there. What are you trying to keep secret? Let's know. Let's get it all out there in the world. You think your 787 gazillion dollars should make it so the judge doesn't release those documents? Release it all. Peace sells, but who's buying? Kim talking about the Dole Whip at Disneyland. Who doesn't love a Dole Whip? My son had to write a couple sentences on what's your favorite treat? Dole Whip. Yeah. I heard Dole Whip is coming to grocery stores. I don't know how they're going to get the same, you know, special concoction that you do when you are going to Disneyland. But they have mango Dole Whip and the pineapple Dole Whip supposedly coming to grocery stores. So we'll see if it's any good. Eric writes, they don't want their viewers to know they think they're gullible morons. I think they're trying, Eric, I think they're trying to protect some of their major hosts or even maybe administrators, managers that said some things. I think that's why. I think they're trying to protect their people. This will not look good if it comes out. And so that's why they don't want the judge to release these things. Yeah. Trevor, the fifth one wasn't proud enough. Apparently not. The fifth one really could have used an infusion of pride, I guess. Flo says the Disney expansion sounds exciting. Hope it's good for the residents of Orlando and Anaheim. I like all the films mentioned, but really excited to see Tron. Yeah, a Tron land, a Tron world would be really cool. Really cool. I don't think they could do it outside. I think they would have to do it in like in a big warehouse and just put all these lights everywhere. Could be a stroke risk, really. Yeah. Oh, we're talking about maidens again, maiden names. The definition: unmarried girl or woman, maid. Former Scottish beheading device resembling the guillotine. What? A horse that has never won a race. Well, that's sad. Hmm. I put the link again in the chat if you want to check in and give us a call. Flo says one of the reasons you don't see much of the gentle rides attractions for little kids is in part due to not making G-rated movies anymore. Sad. Winnie the Pooh is one of the best rides, for example. Um, and there's never a line for Winnie the Pooh. Never a line for that one. I don't know though, because I think a lot, I mean, maybe they're PG, but I think aren't a lot of the cartoons that have come out, like Moana and Frozen, all those are their G, right? I think Disney's coming out has come out with a bunch of really great movies, and they just aren't yet represented really at Disneyland. We like Merida, but I have my daughter's a redhead, so an unruly, crazy, wild redhead, so that always was fitting for us. John says, I always put Proud Boys in quotes because they really aren't proud, and not all of them are boys. But some of the women Proud Boys did look like boys. Dope. Eric, if Disney actually Imagineers it, instead of just throwing in references, the new lands will be cohesive and amazing. They could really do a lot. They really, really could. I wonder, though, if the residents of Anaheim are going to, you know, be receptive to an increase in Disneyland space. And I also wonder, do you think Disneyland could build up instead of out? That they could add different lands on, different levels? Or do you like that when you go to Disneyland, it's really all kind of open and flat and one level? Would you want to, walk upstairs into a whole different building? Oh. What about a maiden voyage? A voyage that's never been taken before. Frozen is rated PG. Oh, okay. Parental guidance. I wonder why. Is it language, or there's some scary parts with the wolves chasing them? There's some kissing. I don't know. I didn't see anything in Frozen that would make it PG. Although, I'm not sure. I would if Well, I don't live in Anaheim, so I don't have to deal with the tourism and the traffic. When you live somewhere, it's always like more of a pain in your rear end, right? I used to live before we moved home to Petaluma. For a time, my husband and I lived in a little apartment in San Francisco on Fell Street, right around the corner from Alamo Square Park, which is where the Painted Lady Victorians are. And there were always tour buses coming through. You know, you walk the dog up to the dog park at Alamo Square, and it was always packed with tourists. Before that, when I lived in the Santa Cruz area, lots of tourists, lots of people coming to the beach, leaving their garbage behind. So I understand that sometimes tourism, or having a living in a place where everyone wants to come visit, can pose a lot of problems. Maybe the people of Anaheim really don't want to increase the space and have any more people come, but maybe the people of Anaheim also, you know enjoy Disneyland and enjoy the Southern California discount, and would be receptive to it. It's a big part of California. I think sometimes when people in other states think of California, maybe they think of politics or the lands of fruits and nuts or whatever they think in other states. But I'm thinking the Hollywood sign, the Golden Gate Bridge, and Disneyland pop into their mind. So make it as good as you can make it. Most Disney Pixar films are rated PG in order to get a broader family teen audience. Oh, I didn't know that, Flo. Bug's Life is one of the last rated G films. Like it's like there's some sort of stigma I can't fathom. I don't either. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I think there's a big disparity too between within PG rated films. I mean, some of them are parental guidance, and you watch it and there's a real reason for the parental guidance, but some of it seems like it could have been G. So I don't know. Calvin says it's why the city needs regulations for a set amount of tour buses and operating hours so residents have a nice life too. Yeah, but I think yes, Calvin, but I think when you live in a tourist area, sometimes you just need to also expect that this is where you're moving, this is where you're living, this is something you're going to have to deal with. It's just the way it is. You know, when I lived in San Francisco, there were places I wouldn't go because it was kind of a tourist place. And I knew it was going to be packed with people, like Pier 39, unless I had to go there to cover a story or taking family from out of town down there. I didn't usually go down there for dinner unless I was bringing someone that was a tourist with me, right? We know. We know. Hi, Anonymous. Thank you for the call yesterday. Appreciate that. Chris, why? Tourism is not ruining the world. Well, do you mean that there are places that are over toured? I guess we could say over toured. Yes, there are some places like I know Tahoe was asking people not to go there. They're worried about the lake and the environment. Places in Italy, they're worried about the environment. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, we have to be a careful tourist. Places in Hawaii even, trails and places that are, being really overused and trampled. But I don't know if tourism is ruining the world. I think it's important for people to get out and see how others live and think, you know? Before you see those things, you kind of only think about your own environment, your own backyard, and tourism can really open up the world for people and get us thinking more about each other than ourselves. Denise writes, Disney opened in 1955, so anyone who lives in the Anaheim area is there for jobs and choice. Right. Been a long way. Deidre says Maui is looking for ways to curb tourism. I think they're asking people not to go on the road to Hana. As people there had a taste of it during the pandemic where they were finally able to drive on the main highway on the road to Hana if they needed to take their kids to school or needed to get to a doctor's appointment or had an emergency, they could actually drive on the roadways. And then tourism came back. And now they realize what an impact that's had on their life. So, yeah. Karen says in Hawaii, legislators just turned down a fee for tourists intended to pay for parks. I live in Hilo, a low tourist town, purposely. Although I have been to Hilo as a tourist. Sorry, Karen. But yeah, I think a lot you get fewer tourists than somewhere like Lahaina or uh, Honolulu. The beaches of Waikiki, definitely. But Hilo's so pretty, rainy there in Hilo. And I just remember going along the main highway and seeing all the artists with their easels up painting coastal views and flowers. Really cool. Deidre writing, they are requiring reservations for certain tourist spots on Maui. You don't want too many people there at the same time. Yes, to Chris writes, mass tourism. Yeah. Karen says, I came to Hilo as a tourist. That convinced me it was the place for me. Sometimes you just arrive at a place and fall in absolute love with it. You just do. There's a hotel in Hilo, and I don't know if it's still there. It's on the coast, kind of across from the main part of town. And they always have the most beautiful flower arrangements. I think I just walked around taking pictures of flowers. How pretty. And all the rainforests on the way on the road to Hana. But yeah, they don't want people on the road to Hana anymore. And I can understand. And also, I think I've read stories where people are getting frustrated because, the city or county will put signs out in Hawaii saying, please stay off this trail. And tourists just clomp right over the signs and go anyway. So it can be pretty frustrating, I think, if you're, trying to protect a place and you're really not getting much help. It is almost time for England to get officially a new king. The coronation of King Charles is approaching fast. The 2-hour event is happening Saturday at Westminster Abbey at 11 a.m. in the United Kingdom. That's 6 a.m. in the Eastern Time in the United States. The 40th coronation is a somber, symbolic ceremony as Charles officially takes over for his mother. Although he has ruled since Queen Elizabeth died in September, he will be crowned monarch of the country and become the largely ceremonial head of the Commonwealth. And of course, Charles's wife, Camilla, you know how I feel about her, was previously known as the Queen Consort, but will now officially become Queen. About 2,000 guests will attend, including First Lady Jill Biden, along with Prince Harry and Prince William. Both sons will be there of now King Charles. So that's interesting. We have a very, very special guest who is getting a little bit of he's getting a lot of tips to us, giving a lot of tips to us about some kind of hidden features on your iPhone that could really, really improve your pictures. So let's welcome in to the Nikki Maduro Show, Jefferson Graham. Apparently, I forgot how to speak today. Hi.
Hi. Hey, Nikki, you look a little different today.
Yeah, Nikki is actually emceeing an event today.
Your hair has gotten so long.
Oh yeah. She's emceeing an event for, I think it's for addiction and recovery services in the South Bay. So it was an important charity to her that she wanted to MC that event today, but she will be back tomorrow. And you've got your guitar back on the wall behind you. Yay.
Yes, and I do want to note, it's very interesting. You guys have a South Bay and we have a South Bay. So I live in the South Bay, but not in San Jose.
What's your South Bay?
Manhattan Beach, California is the South Bay.
Is that really the South Bay, though?
Oh, it's the South Bay.
Is it? You guys call it the South Bay?
It's the South Bay.
I mean, it's not the real South Bay. The real South Bay is...
I live in the South Bay of Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Palos Verdes.
If you insist, I'll accept that. I still think the San Jose, Santa Clara Valley is the South Bay. But okay, Jefferson Graham.
Okay.
Yeah, people are welcoming you. Thank you for coming
Hi, Calvin.
to the show today. Hi. So you've got some interesting things. I guess there are some features that are hidden on the iPhone. Yeah. I think, to me, almost everything is hidden. I have to tell you.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it's not easy. You think when you click on the camera, everything should be available. They should say, they should have a bunch of little menus for you that are easy to find. Instead, you have to click on weird little icons that you don't know what they do. But one of the things you sent me a picture of today, I'll see if I can't add it and get it up here for you, is the burst.
Yeah.
So here's the picture you sent me. There it is. And apparently this can really improve our picture taking. What can you tell me about the burst mode?
Well, it's summertime, right? Here we are in May, and many parents will be taking pictures of their kids playing sports during the summer. Maybe they'll be jumping off diving boards into pools. Maybe it'll be, or not, or jumping into the water, or surfing, or skating, or biking, or running, or jumping, and all these wonderful things that you didn't think we could do with the iPhone or the Galaxy, frankly. But now we can. And I mean, you've been able to do this for a few years, but most people just have no idea. Did you freeze again?
Yeah, I did.
I did. Dear. We have to figure out why that's happening. Why is it happening to you?
I was talking to Tony earlier, and he said there's probably some type of computer update pending on my computer that's maybe making that happen. But I restart it every day, and in between shows too, which takes me then forever to get to this show. But I restart it, so I don't know.
Do you have another? Is there another computer in the house?
Well, I used to, but the first one was the one that I kept dropping out. So then I bought this other one for the show only to use as a camera. Mm-hmm. And that's the one that's freezing up. So yeah, there's there's no perfect solution here, Jefferson Graham.
Okay. Just asking.
No.
Burst mode, you can stop action. As you can see, here is a young model that I photographed in Safety Harbor, Florida, and asked her for her to run from one end of the street to the next. And I stopped action the entire way by keeping my finger down on the shutter. It's a bad image. It's at the bottom in the middle, and it shows you that I shot 60 shots in just a second. And
Wow.
on the iPhone, you put your finger on the white shutter button and you move it to get it to go into high action mode. Let me
What do you mean by you move it?
You keep your finger on the white button and you move it to the left or move it to the right.
Like
And
you wiggle your finger around on that
Yeah.
white button? Huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and it'll eventually start. And on the Galaxy, let me open up this one. So
And
I
how
can
do you
remember.
stop it? Or does it just go until
You
it's
just
done?
take your take your finger off when you're done. Okay, they're giving me fingerprint problems here. Okay, let's get that camera open. On the camera, you do the same thing. You just move your finger to the left and you can take multiple shots,
Huh.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And of course, they're not going to tell you this. They're, once upon a time, there was a generation that used to buy products and then sit and read the manual. And today, there is no manual. There might be one online, but doubtful. Basically, you just have to say, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this into Google? And you will find your answer. I mean, you always will find the answer. It may not be the one you want, but you will
Right.
find the answer.
Well, and sometimes you don't even know that you would want to do that. I mean, maybe you don't even realize that a feature is available, so you wouldn't even Google how do I, right? Because but it might be something that becomes your favorite thing and you don't
Yeah.
realize it until you're told about it by someone like you. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Another one is that you can shoot video and photos at the same time. Did you know that?
I didn't, but this is something that I will use.
Yeah. So when you open up into video mode on the iPhone.
Hey, while you talk about this, I'm going to go out and go back in, okay?
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine. Okay, so when you start recording, the red button turns on. Here, you see that? Okay, you see the red button is recording, and then there's a white button right next to it. And if I click the white button, I'm taking pictures. You really don't hear anything happening, so you kind of don't know that it's happening. Look who's there!
I know.
Look who's there. Look who's there.
I'm back.
So you don't know what's happening, but it is happening. And the pictures are good. And, it used to be I would just take the video and then I make a frame grab of it,
Yeah.
but I don't have to do
Those are
that.
always a little fuzzy, right?
The frame grabs?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like they're not like real good pictures. So what do? You open your camera and you have to put it on video?
Yeah, open up the camera and not just put it on video, but start recording video.
Okay.
Again. Okay. So
I'm recording us. Now
okay,
what?
so right. Recording, and now there's a white button there. Do we
Yeah.
all see the white button? And that's where you're
Oh.
taking pictures.
Okay. I'm in love right now with that. I had no idea.
Yeah, and it works really
Yeah.
well. Yeah. One of the big uses for that. Okay, so fireworks, July 4th, coming up soon.
Oh.
We're all going to want to photograph fireworks. When I was at USA Today, every year I did an article, here's how to shoot fireworks on your smartphone.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do that article anymore. But that much said, I always recommend shooting video of the fireworks. It's too frustrating. It's too hard to just be sitting there trying to stop action when all the stuff is going on. Shoot video of the fireworks and then take stills at the same time.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And by the way, Natalie, yes, that's exactly what happened because I trust him. I can't do that with everybody, but with Jefferson, I think I'm pretty safe.
Yeah,
I think that's
you're
all
okay.
right. Yeah. Grady says that's awesome. I'm so excited to know that because there's sometimes I really felt like I had to choose. Do I want to videotape this and maybe I'll get a screen grab of the picture later, even though I know it probably won't be the picture I was hoping for. So that's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah, let me give you a funny real life situation.
Okay.
So my cousin got married, and I said, I'll photograph it, no problem. And she says, great. And then she says, do a video too. And I said, fine. I'll put the camera on a tripod and I'll just press record. And that's as good as you're going to get because I'm going to
Yeah.
be busy taking pictures. So everything's all good. And then she starts walking down the aisle. And now I say, well, wait a minute. Because I have to move for this, right? I have to
Yeah.
move and get her coming down. Do I do video of it? Do I do stills? What do I do? And in that case, I shot video knowing that I could get a frame grab
Yeah.
from the video. But in this, if I was shooting it on the iPhone, I could have been clicking the white button at the same time.
Do you think the pictures that you take, the screen grabs of video, are as good as the pictures where you would click the white button and actually take the photo?
No, I think where you take the photo is always going to be better. I can
Yeah.
usually do a pretty good frame grab because I do it all the time. But yes, they can be fuzzier in low resolution.
I am so excited. I just learned you are the best teacher. What else do you
Well,
have
thank
for
you.
me? Keep it coming.
Yeah, keep it coming. I got to pull my list up. Give me 1 second. Go full frame on yourself for 1 second. Okay.
Okay, I will
And
go full frame on myself
I'm
for
gonna
1
go
second.
pull up the list.
We'll give him a minute to do that. But yeah, these are things that Jefferson Graham comes in, and I honestly had no idea that was even capable. I was even capable of doing such a thing. And I think it's interesting that there's really no manual that tells you these things are all possible. Things that you wouldn't even know really until someone, you overheard someone talking about it or clicked on all the weird little icons. And sometimes it brings up like settings that I'm afraid to mess with because I don't want to tamper with the way that the camera is, like in case I break something that I can't ever put it back to the way it was and my camera always looks funky or something. So I don't know. Yes, I agree. Fireworks look amazing on film. And I do enjoy taking pictures of fireworks, but it never looks as grand and wonderful as it does in the sky. Liz says, I'm so clueless with iPhone features. I'm bringing you back in, Jefferson
Oh,
Graham. Is
thank
that
you.
okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah. Fireworks, trust me, you shoot video, have it on a tripod or don't, and it's going to
Yeah.
look incredible. That's been my experience, and I do it every year. Where I live in the South Bay of Los Angeles, every December they have a fireworks display.
For
They think
what?
they're really cute. They don't want to do it in July. They do it in
Oh,
December.
okay.
And so I shoot it every December. Two other tips I'll give you. Flash is just abominable on all these smartphone cameras, and I highly urge everyone not to use it.
Why?
And instead, because it looks like you're lit by a blowtorch and just you look absolutely horrible. Instead, you're always going to be accompanied or around somebody who has another smartphone. Ask them to turn on their flashlight app and use that as your light, and you'll look a lot better.
Isn't your flash on your flashlight the same feature?
There just seems to be, well, no, because you're holding it, you're using another, if I'm taking a picture of you there, then I've got the flash over here. I'm angling it. I'm getting it
Oh,
to
okay.
be, yeah.
The light you want.
It's the positioning of where
Right.
the flash is on the phone that makes it look so horrible. And
I
then
will
the other one is I can erase people from photos if I shoot in live photos mode. Live photos is the gimmick on the iPhone that was introduced about 5 years ago to bring in 3 seconds of video clips to your photo. And that's kind of fun. And then they have a thing called loop and bounce, and it goes back and forth. But there's another one called long exposure, which I use to shoot water, and it makes it look all flowy and beautiful and milky. But if you're in a situation, and it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, but I did it yesterday morning. It was perfect. Somebody's walking into my shot and I don't want her there. I go into long exposure and she's erased.
How do you find that?
Okay. If you will open up camera and go to photo mode, and at the top of the screen, there should be a little round button with some gears in it on the right side next to raw. Do you see that?
I have a flash on the left, a little round moon looking button, an arrow in the middle, and then all the way to the left.
That that button should be on, and that's for live.
And it says live. Okay.
And then
if I take a picture with that,
you take a picture there, you open it up, and you go to edit. Where's edit? Yeah. Okay. You don't even have to go to edit because at the top of the screen up here, there's a little drop down menu. And okay, we can see that. See that drop down menu?
Yeah, I do.
A little out of focus, but you can tell that it's a drop down menu.
Uh-huh.
At the bottom, it says long exposure. And you click that on, and with that, you can erase them.
I don't know how to erase you. I was trying to erase you from the shot.
It's not good. That's not going to work, but it's hit and miss, trial and error. Give it a try the next time you're in a public area.
Wow. I'm fascinated by that. That could really be helpful.
Yes.
Especially, if you're in an audience, like I have an 8th grade graduation coming up, right? And when I am probably going to be at the graduation, there will be heads in front of me. So to be able to, to kind of take that off, I mean, that's a cropping thing I could use, but if somebody's head pops in the way too close,
it's more that if you were shooting and you had the aisle in the shot and there was some idiot standing there in the middle of the aisle, you could take that person out. Or you're in France at the Arc de Triomphe and you want to erase some of the people on the street, which I did. You can do that. You could also make cars go away too.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
So on today's show, we have the one and only Mark Thompson is going to join me for a half an hour, and I'm going to ask him the questions today.
What are you going to ask him? What do you want to know?
Well, I think you want to tune in and find out. And I'm also going to open it up to your questions because when you guys do your show, you're talking about the stories and the guests and everything, but people don't get to really ask much about Mark, do they?
No, they really don't. Liz agrees. Yes, it looks really bad with the flash. She's liking that. Eric says, I just want an app to add lightsabers to stills and videos. We'll take it.
Here's my lightsaber is right here.
Oh my God. You really have one.
Yeah, I really do.
Wow. No, that's your pod. That's cool.
Yeah. And a tripod that's falling to pieces. Okay. And anyway, so on tomorrow we're going to do a test. We're going to try a Friday afternoon show at 4:00 Pacific time, and we're going to go down those top 10 things. I didn't think that Mark really wants to talk about those 10 things because I don't know that he's used any of them. So we're going to talk to Mark about Mark today and do the top 10 things tomorrow.
Hey, that's his favorite subject, so it's going to be a great show. Absolutely.
Okay.
Trevor is wondering if Nikki is going to be on your show again.
I would like her to be on the show again. I was thrown for a loop because I was doing the show from a camera store. I was doing it remotely, and it was a new experience for me, and I didn't know what to do. And the other thing is that, usually try to meet up ahead of time and check audio, which I should have done. But I would love to have Nikki on my show again, maybe in the next coming weeks.
Absolutely. Well, she's busier now. She's got a second job. And of course, today she's emceeing at an event. So hopefully you'll get to have her back on. So cool. So you're going to be talking about these 10 best kept secrets.
Yeah, and tomorrow at 4.
I'm looking forward to that because the first 2 that you talked about with the burst and actually 3, and the taking a picture with a video, and the live mode where you can get rid of people that are in your shot. Those are all things that I would use and didn't know about. So that's really valuable.
Great. I'm glad to hear it. So now I have to come up with new stuff to wow you next week.
Are you going to play some music for me?
I can. Yeah. You want to name it? What song would you like? Oh.
Well, we had so nice. We had a request earlier for a couple of TV shows. Somebody wanted MacGyver.
I don't do MacGyver.
No, not MacGyver, huh? How about Mission Impossible?
I'm still tuning.
They had Mission Impossible. They had Succession. People requested that. There you go.
You also had whoops. Anyway, you know that one. Name another one.
The Succession.
Oh yeah, how does that go?
That was good. Well done. Right on. Love it. Jefferson
built
Graham.
for me by Kirk Sand of Laguna Beach.
Ah, nice. Love it.
Right.
Thank you for coming and always playing guitar and always giving us the tips that we need. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And
See you next week.
Your show today starts at 2:00 right here on YouTube.
YouTube.com/PhotoWalksTV.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you
Bye-bye.
today.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Jefferson Graham, everybody. Coming up, we have at 1:30 a discussion with Krista from the SFSPCA, and she'll bring us a couple of dogs we can check out, see if maybe we're in the mood for a new friend. Yeah, it'd be good. Grady says, thank you, Jefferson Graham. Yes, odd couple. So thank you always to Jefferson for coming by and doing that. There's a story that really shocked me in a good way. Sometimes it's always negative, Nelly, stories. But there is this story out of Denver where doctors performed brain surgery on a baby before she was born. This baby still in utero. Doctors that do this, I just find them incredible. There's a team of doctors in Boston that performed a fetal surgery, the first of its kind, to treat a rare brain condition. It was known as the vein of Galen malformation. So, through in utero surgery, doctors perform this guided ultrasound guided procedure. They apparently did all of this again while the baby was in the womb. The infants, they had to insert these tiny coils to slow down the blood flow in the baby. The treatment of this often happens too late, but at this point, they did it before it, could really affect her development. Despite advancements in care, they say 50 to 60% of all babies with this condition will get very sick immediately. And for those, it looks like there's about 40% mortality. About half of infants that survive experience severe neurological and cognitive issues. That's what one of the doctors, Dr. Darren Orbach, told CNN. So this is huge, right? Because if you get to it in time, then you can affect this baby's life, its development, its, how it's formed from then on out in the womb and early childhood. This is the fourth pregnancy for this couple. And apparently, yeah, they were so excited about this fourth baby. And then they went in for that anatomy scan and it came back unremarkable. They did some genetic testing, said it was low risk. They thought they were in the clear. But then she went for an ultrasound at 30 weeks and something was very different. And the woman says she remembers her doctor sitting her down and saying, listen, something's not right in terms of the baby's brain, the heart of the child enlarged. And so they diagnosed this genetic malformation. And I mean, you have to be kind of freaked out when they say they're going to go, in while the baby is still in utero, because that carries all kinds of risks. Preterm labor, brain hemorrhage for the fetus. But they said they thought there was no other option. After they heard all the risks, they did this trial surgery. So at 1 month after the ultrasound spotted that malformation, the surgery was done. They had to make sure that the baby was the fetus was in the right position, right? And yeah, and that it stayed there during the the procedure. They gave it a little medication so it wouldn't move around a lot, and a little injection for pain relief, and inserted a needle through the abdominal wall, threaded a catheter through the needle, and the baby showed signs of improvement right away. The scan they took after this surgery showed decreased blood pressure in key areas. They think that she'll continuously show progress. So she was born at 34 weeks old, this baby, weighed 4 pounds, 1 ounce, and it looks like doctors to say they're pleased that she's stable, that the treatment went well, and everything worked out. So she's thriving. What an absolute miracle that we are able to do these things. I remember meeting a doctor that worked at UCSF that performed surgery in utero. That was his specialty, and just so impressive and amazing. And imagine how precise and delicate you would have to be. Yeah, Murphy says so incredible. I have a friend whose baby had successful heart surgery in utero. It's amazing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just feel so like what we're capable of sometimes, it's just incredible. Eric says, I would imagine it heals better with much less scarring. Yeah, I think it's about, and yes, but I think it's, I mean, if they can wait, I think they'll wait. But if it's something that impacts the baby's development, it could make a big difference ahead of time, they would do it. Or that is so, such a dire prognosis that they could save the baby that, might not survive unless it has that surgery. I know Bert Tastic doesn't like me very much. It's very clear. But you know what? Thank you for being here anyway. Really appreciate everyone who's part of this show. And yes, Nikki will be back tomorrow. So you'll get your favorite. She'll be back. Lori says AI and robotics essential for this type of surgery and medical advancements as well. That's true. I mean, I know they a lot of times will do it with that very precise arm type of thing. In this case, I don't know if they, how much AI was involved in doing that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Bye bye, Bert. Bert's the guy, he always like in the as Mark says, after hours trading in the comments, he always has something bad to say about me. That's fine. Yeah, I get it. Nikki's coming back tomorrow, Bert. You'll be very pleased with that. I won't block you. You can say bad things. It's okay to have a bad opinion of me. That's fine. I don't mind. It's all right. It's okay. Um, let's talk about this lawsuit in California for a minute. It is asking the California Court of Appeals to review the state's new rooftop solar policy. The Center for Biological Diversity, the Project for Our Communities Foundation, and the Environmental Working Group has review that went into effect April 15th. They say this policy significantly decreases the credit solar customers get for sharing their extra energy with the grid. They say by up to 80%. Lawsuit claims the new policy will also make solar even more unattainable for low and middle income families. They also challenge that the policy disregards the advantages of solar, including reduced greenhouse gas emissions and power outages as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of that, right? I I kind of at this point hope that it's successful, that they're successful in challenging that policy. I remember when it went into place, and I was feeling pretty upset about it as well. Um, Harry writes about the doctors. We train doctors to save in utero lives, but won't protect our children from guns after they're born. Isn't that the truth? Calvin Wong, you're so awesome. I know you feed us a lot of different stories, and now you've got a $20 contribution to the show. Very grateful for you. You're always here and always have something nice to say, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's true. That's the way it is. No big deal. Eric says PG&E would probably like to hamstring solar completely. I think so. Natalie writes, the new policy is intended to push customers to install batteries to store their own power because it was putting strain on the grid to store the solar generated power. But wouldn't you think, Natalie, that, especially in the summer when we see the grid stressed and they don't have enough power, that they would take power any way they could get it? I don't know. The government gives so many mixed messages about solar. They subsidize and then they penalize. That's what's frustrating, Lori, is they say they want us to have it, they want us to do it, and then they take away all the benefits for doing so. Yeah. Beth writes, the PUC gave PG&E this regulation on a big silver platter, didn't they? I've always felt like it was more of a benefit for PG&E than it was for power customers and the environment and the state. So, John, oh, no, I think he really truly doesn't like me. And that's okay because not everybody is for everybody, right? I mean, there's always going to be someone who you don't jibe with and they don't jibe with you, and that's totally okay. It's life. Joe says, sounds like another made-up justification from PG&E. It is true, and it's amazing what they get away with and how everything, no matter how unreasonable it seems or even how against policy, the policy seems to be, everyone is encouraged to get solar if they can. And even this was rubber stamped by the California Public Utilities Commission. I like to think he needs a hug. You could give it to him then. I'm not doing it. Harry, PG&E wants to control solar power. If everyone has a battery, PG&E can tap it when they need to tap it. Knit One Pearl One, wasn't it Loretta Lynch? I wish she would come on Mark or Nikki's show. We need the info on PG&E. Actually, we had her on Nikki's show. We should get her back in. Natalie writes, the power going onto the grid of blowing aging transformers in the neighborhoods. PG&E is still evil, but the infrastructure just couldn't handle the solar load. Okay, Natalie. Cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, she has been on Nikki's show. We'll have her back again, though. Maybe we'll ask her a little bit more about this. Thanks, Natalie, for your information today. But now it is time to talk about pets and dogs and maybe save some little lives and get a new friend for you. I'm so excited. This segment just makes me so happy. So happy. We have Krista Herman, the adoptions coordinator at the San Francisco SPCA, now joining the Nikki Maduro show. Hi, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me, Kim. It's great to see you.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. Now, I noticed the two dogs that you are going to be talking about today are both foster to adopt. So can you talk a little bit about what that means versus just going to the shelter and coming home with an animal that's yours right out of the chute?
Sure. So if you'll notice on our website, exactly, you'll see a banner, the blue banner. And so we have this new option for adopters, foster to adopt. So if people they come in, they're interested, they meet the dog and they want to move forward, but they're just like, I'm not 100% that it's going to be the right fit, or will the dog get along with my resident dog? Yeah. Foster to adopt is perfect because we set you up, the foster team gets involved. They will give you all the food and everything you need, about a week's supply. And then the dog will go home with you and you can just play it by ear, see how it goes, try it out, see if it's a fit or not. And it's usually, the length is usually like maximum a week. But this way you can, actually get your head around, okay, this dog is really fitting in with our lifestyle, or we need to make some adjustments, in which case you could just check in with foster. They'll be your support the whole time. You'll come back to adoptions if you decide to adopt. And if not, if it's not a match, we totally get it. And, it's been amazing for the dog because they've been out of the shelter. So they've had a little vacation at your place for a week. So it's a great program and it's been very successful so far.
So is it a way also for people not only to test out whether the animal's for them, but maybe not to pay all the fees if they don't know if they're going to keep the animal as well?
Yeah, that's true. for some people who are like, it's a big commitment financially, obviously, with your energy and your lifestyle, it's a huge commitment. But that way too, then it's more of a sure thing. Like, okay, this week has gone really well. My two dogs seem to love each other. I mean, you just kind of know if it feels right or not, right?
Yeah, I think so. All right, well, let's talk about these foster to adopt animals that you have available at the SFSPCA. And the first one, I think, is Corrine.
Yes, we have Corrine, and she is a pitty mix. She's about 5 years old, and she came into us originally. She's from San Francisco, and so she was just, loves fetch. We usually have about 2 tennis balls with her, so that she'll go chase one, come back. We ask for a sit, and then we, toss the other one to her. So she was in a foster home, and actually in an apartment. And even though she's about 50 pounds or so, and they said she did so well. She loved snuggling, just hanging out in her doggy bed. Oh, there she
is. Yeah, that's Corrine.
So she did great. The foster parents had beautiful things to say about her. When she does go out on walks, she can vocalize and want to pull towards other dogs. So we just take her to areas that don't have a lot of dogs so that she's not constantly triggered. And then we also are always working on keeping her attention on us. So that's why with the tennis balls, that's a perfect opportunity to, learn how to redirect her energy. But the foster parents absolutely loved her, said she just snuggled on that couch the whole time that she was there.
She looks pretty big. And
Yes.
so I'm wondering if you would say that with a pit bull mix like that it has that's pretty large. Would you say someone that has experience with that breed might be a better fit?
Not necessarily the breed, because she is 50 pounds, whereas the next guy we're going to talk about is 70 pounds.
Okay.
But I think, it's very interesting, because sometimes people who have a lot of dog experience and have worked with dogs who, may be sensitive to new areas or pull or vocalize, are better suited. But then you never know. Sometimes people have never had a dog before, and they just really understand what the dog's needs are. And it's a great match. So it's really, when you come in, we'll have a thorough conversation about everything. And, you see if it sounds like it's something that's doable. And that's something that may never go away, but it's totally manageable.
Okay. She sure is cute though, and seems like, kind of easygoing, hanging out on the couch right there.
Yeah, totally.
Let's go now to Rex. Rex is a darling dog and looks like could be a lot of fun. What kind of dog is Rex?
Yeah, so this is a Siberian Husky mix. Rex is a 1-year-old boy. So he's from Fresno originally. And yes, he's about 70 pounds. Now, he is so friendly. He loves stopping and saying hello to everybody as he walks down the street. And he loves sniffing. So we take him on what we call snifaris. He was also in a foster home. And there was a resident dog, another big dog, and they were best buddies. So he loves, and we also in the play outside, we have a outdoor dog park, and he plays really well with other dogs. So if you have another doggy, that would be great. The only thing with him is that, he's a little bit unsure of new environments and slippery floors. So he must have not had a great experience in his history with a slippery floor. So, preferably the home, they were great. They just put down towels and some blankets so that he didn't have to go on the hardwood floors. So like in our shelter, it's really slippery floor.
Right.
That's scary for a lot of dogs. They want to feel that grip. But
is there a dog in the room with you?
No, I didn't bring anybody down.
I thought I could hear a tail flipping against the wall.
No.
That's so funny. Okay, so we have again Corrine, right? Mm-hmm. And we have Rex.
And Rex.
And both are foster to adopt, so you can check it out, see if it's the dog for you that fits in with your life and everything. And maybe that'll help people kind of be more able to take an animal if they can check it out first, right? And make sure that kind of everybody's okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, feeling overwhelmed is a very natural thing when you're adopting. So this could help quell that a little bit. But yeah, we would love it. Just come in. We'll talk about it, see if it seems like a
Yeah.
match, and we can give it a whirl.
I've always said I'd be the worst foster person because the minute a child or animal or whatever came in, that would be it. Like they're staying forever and ever and ever.
It is hard to be a foster parent, no doubt, but making them more adoptable is pretty invaluable.
Krista Herman with the San Francisco SFSPCA, or San Francisco SPCA, I should say. Thank you for coming on the show and talking about the dogs. And let's hope that we get these I would say guys, but guy and girl a home, so they can have that security and that comfort and provide joy.
We would love that. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Krista Herman with the San Francisco SPCA, everyone. So yeah, if those dogs look like they're for you, then you give it a try. Cute Rex, cute Corrine. By the way, I feel like I've figured out to play the video of Nikki and I know that would make Bert really, really happy. So I'm gonna do it anyway, and hopefully it'll end a little awkwardly, but that's okay. I'll come back on afterward, and we can say goodbye to each other that way. But I think the video is worthwhile, so I do want to play it for you, and let's see if I can't make that happen here. Thank you for being here, you guys. I really appreciate it. And here is the video.
Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
All right. Hello. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. Hello there, Kim McAllister.
I miss your face. How are you?
Know. I am good. I am good. Thank you so much for single hosting yesterday I guess today. We can be completely honest. We're recording this on a very long day.
Yeah. I'm wearing the same sweater as yesterday. So people will be like, hey, either she doesn't have enough sweaters or... I had 2 phone calls today, though. It's pretty cool.
I am so excited about that. I was watching the show. And again, we're going to include the link on this show so people can continue to do that. But this is recorded right now. So we're recording this because I am currently, probably while you're watching this, on stage emceeing an event for Recovery Cafe San Jose. It's a fundraiser. Some people, a person that I used to, that worked at the high school that I went to high school at, invited me to MC this event. So that is where I am right now. So we wanted to record something. Yeah. And so here we are. And so I'm just going to pretend while we're talking that it is Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's a reason why I want to pretend. And that, of course, is because it's Thursday, May 4th. And my friend, May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
As all Catholics will say. You're not Catholic, but we do say that. So it is May the 4th. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the drama surrounding something that's happening late. I think actually it's been underway. It's happening today. Carrie Fisher is getting her posthumous star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I learned something about these.
Yeah.
They cost a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a matter of like paying $70,000 for the star on the Walk of Fame, because you would think someone like Carrie Fisher would have had hers a long time ago. Like, why is it just happening now? Apparently, it's because you got to cough up the cash for it.
Well, you also have to be invited. It's not just, I want a star. They have to invite you. So I don't understand why it took so long. But yeah, so she is, of course, she was in Star Wars, Princess Leia.
Yeah.
She is also the daughter, of course, of Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher. Okay. Now, Carrie and her brother Todd Fisher are the only children of Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. Carrie has two, I guess, half sisters, Jolie Fisher and Trisha Lee Fisher, with Eddie Fisher's next wife, Connie Stevens. Okay. So, but apparently they were all close. Carrie Fisher also has a daughter, and you've seen her in many things. Billy Lord. There she is. That's Jolie Fisher right there on the right. Well, apparently, Billy Lord, Carrie Fisher's daughter, has not invited any of the siblings to today's celebration to give Carrie Fisher her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's too bad. There must be some type of estate thing going on where, bad blood, sometimes someone dies and people get all pissy.
Yeah. Well, apparently Billy Lord, the daughter of Carrie Fisher, took quite an issue with what the siblings did following Carrie Fisher and, of course, Debbie Reynolds, who died the next day after her daughter died. The very next day, Debbie Reynolds died after Carrie Fisher. And there's my warning. And so apparently Billy Lord said that they tried to capitalize on her mother and grandmother's death by doing interviews and books. And I guess Billy Lord didn't find it to be in good taste. And so has not invited them to honor Carrie Fisher with this star. Do you think it's a bit petty? Or do you think there was always kind of bad blood between the siblings and Billy Lord? Because I can imagine this just popped up. People grieve in their own ways. But I will say this. One, there could have been bad blood. But do you also think, and I hate doing this because I have half siblings, who I do consider siblings, but that it's like you were not the daughters of Carrie Fisher. You were I don't know even what they would be to her because she had already divorced Eddie Fisher when Eddie Fisher had the other siblings. I mean, Todd Fisher, I don't understand why the brother's not invited.
Well,
the other sisters.
I think to Carrie Fisher, they're always half siblings at the very least.
Right.
And as you said, many people consider their half siblings to be full siblings. They don't make a differentiation there.
Yeah.
And that's nice. So then they would be Billy's aunts.
Yeah.
Aunt and uncle. So yeah, they're family. They're
They're
blood family.
family. I mean, there is blood there. They do share a lineage there. So there has to be some sort of bad blood there. But Todd Fisher spoke out and he said the snub was bizarre. It was misguided. One of the sisters said this is something Carrie would have definitely wanted her siblings to be present for. But yeah, it's so awkward when things like this happen. And then people speak for the dead, and it's like, don't speak for the dead. I mean,
Then again, it's her mom. That's her mom, so she gets to choose. But
I don't know if it was my brother, I would feel very like I've known
slighted.
this man, my whole life, longer than you have.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends. Should she come up with the $70,000 to pay for the star? Is she putting the whole thing together? I feel like though it would be really lovely if an event like that would be used to bring people together instead of further divide.
No, yeah,
like
but
you
it's
have this
unfortunate.
opportunity here to like make amends.
And she has absolutely no desire to. So again, there she is on the left. That's Billy Lord, Carrie Fisher's daughter, and one of her sisters, Jolie Fisher, on the right. It has to be hard to be in a Hollywood family like that. My heart goes out to all of them. I'm glad that Carrie Fisher is getting her star. I do agree with you. It's way past due. All right. Before we keep going on this show, please do us a favor and click that thumbs up button to show your support. And again, there is a link we're going to be including, Kim, in this show where people can click the link. You don't need to show your face, although Eric showed his face.
He did.
And that was awesome. And I love how you were telling people it is so cool to see the faces of people whose names we only see, or the voices, when we were at Station X that we heard. And yeah, I'm really liking it. I want more of you guys to take advantage. I have not had the experience. You guys have been phoning in when Kim's here, and
well,
I haven't had the opportunity
feel bad
yet.
for me. They feel bad for me that I'm alone, and they're like, "Oh, we got to throw this girl some help."
Stop. But if you do want to support the show, please do visit our website, our show's website, thenickymadoroshow.com. You'll find the links to everything, our Patreon, our PayPal, our merchandise shop. And of course, the super chat is live as well. And you can donate to the show, whether we're live, recorded, or you're watching on the replay. Okay, speaking of where people choose to spend their money, are you a Nordy girl? Are you a Nordstrom girl? You
Well,
are.
I can't afford the main Nordy, although sometimes they have some good sales.
Yes.
So I'll find some stuff online, but I like going in there.
Mhm.
I enjoy the experience of, a fancy department store. So
Yeah.
I don't get there very often. I'm more of I like Nordstrom's, but I shop at Nordstrom Rack.
Yes.
What do they say? It's like a
exactly.
champagne taste on a beer budget. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
my
me.
mom's a Nordstrom's woman. She has been for
Yeah.
a very long time. And she'd always bring me in there. And every time I'd pull something off, I'd be like, there is no way
No.
I am spending this much on a shirt. Like it's
But
just
then either find it online on Nordstrom sales, or you go to Nordstrom Rack and you're like, ha
Oh,
ha.
there you go. And their shoes, they will take back shoes. It doesn't matter how old they are. They will take back the shoes. So they're one of those stores that really kind of caters, but they're not going to be catering to a lot of people in San Francisco after they decided to shut down 2 San Francisco stores at 5th and Market, including the flagship mall at Westfield Mall. That thing's been there for 35 years.
That's a fancy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Now, what was your knee jerk when you heard that Nordstrom's was closing, including its flagship store in San Francisco?
Yeah.
What was your first initial reaction of why they made that decision?
Economy and crime. But
Mm,
honestly, I can't imagine a world-class city like San Francisco not having a department store like that. I mean, you think of
true.
San Francisco and the shopping in San Francisco, you think of, often Union Square and the
Macy's.
Macy's and the
Yeah.
Nordstrom and the Saks Fifth Avenue and all the fancy stores in San Francisco. And if all those places go away, I
Mhm.
mean, what is that? If that thriving kind of shopping district area, and that's a huge tenant of the Westfield Mall. If that goes away, San Francisco loses that part of its flavor.
Yeah. I mean, but then I thought, okay, San Francisco has been dealing with crime
Mm.
and homelessness for a while. This is not new. There was an article in the Chronicle, and this is what stuck out to me. It said when it opened the flagship store in 1988, many described it as the biggest gamble that Nordstrom's was making in an area known even in 1988 for homelessness and urban misery. That was according to the LA Times. Okay. So they opened it up. They've always struggled in the mid market area with street cleanliness and safety. So those things have been true pretty much from the get go. Has it gotten worse? So that would be up for debate, but I would say yes. But this is what I think it is. Because you don't just pull up your britches and go home overnight. Okay. So let's just stop. I really do think it's one, the pandemic, right? Really reducing foot traffic. But two, what people want from a mall. Malls have been changing for a long time. I mean, Santana Row, we've talked about Santana Row in my neck of the woods down here in the South Bay. It is always bustling. Valley Fair is right across the street. I mean, they've really made this area work. Is there homelessness? Yes. Are there places where, you see things you don't want to? Yes. But it's also this open air, some parts housing, a lot of part retail. There's, the grassy area where people can lounge with their dogs. People want an experience. They don't just want to walk the mall to get their steps in. And so I feel like Westfield might be like other places like Walgreens. Yes, blaming the crime and the homelessness and things like that. But this is a business decision. The appetite for the traditional mall as it was designed back in 1988 has changed. People buy online. For instance, we were just talking before we started the show about graduation dresses.
Yeah.
So a couple of my mom friends were on literally a text thread today talking about that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be taking my daughter this weekend to go shopping. And they're like, yeah, I bought this online and I bought that online. They're not even bringing their daughters in to try on these dresses. Their
No.
daughters are just going online, looking up what they want. They're buying it and keeping their fingers crossed they have a good return policy. That's
Right.
how people shop nowadays. So you can't just blame homelessness and crime, which, yes, is a factor. But this is a business decision because people's habits have changed. And that can't be ignored. It just can't. I don't care if you're Nordstrom's.
And I think, well, you mentioned the pandemic. I think a lot of people, that maybe went into San Francisco to work or would stop by the mall or whatever, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So you're losing all those customers too.
Yeah. And it sucks. I mean, like my second job, I go up to San Francisco, stuck in that friggin' traffic driving home. But yeah, it's completely different. And I will tell you this, I was stuck in traffic. I'm sitting, not moving, and I look over at a bus stop and there's two guys. I don't know if they were together. They looked like they were together. And one was slowly becoming more and more hunched over. Like obviously had taken something, was high, and was just laying into it. And I'm just sitting there like, what do you do with this? And the guy's just literally sitting right next to him, not even batting an eye. Nobody wants to see that as you go to buy fancy schmancy clothes at the mall. Nobody wants to see that. And I don't know if they're going to fundamentally change this area where, especially where Westfield Mall is in San Francisco. They have to bring in other retailers quickly. What you don't want is to see a lot of empty, especially retail store buildings. I know when I lived in Sacramento, there was a mall closure up there, and it was an eyesore for a long time before they started to redo it. And that's what San Francisco is going to have to do. They're going to have to give financial incentives, tax breaks, something to entice big business to come over there. Otherwise, people are going to continue to stay out of San Francisco, and that's really sad.
So I have a
Yeah.
similar story to, well, a related story. I have this friend, kind of acquaintance friend. It's someone I interviewed on Station X, and we're Facebook
Okay.
friends. She's a law professor at UC Hastings, or now, what is it called now? UC something else. They'll
Oh,
call
yeah,
UC
yeah, 'cause I
College
read
of
it.
the Law. Yeah.
Right.
So she is taking BART and apparently gets on BART. She posts this whole story on Facebook. She gets on BART and sits down, and she realizes the man next to her is kind of hunched over and not moving. So she kind of,
Oh, no.
and
Stop.
nothing. Dude's dead.
Are you kidding?
And it had been like, nobody knows how long he had been there, but she said later, they said it looked like he had been dead for a bit, but no one said anything. People just walked right
Because
by.
they're
Like
so
it was,
used to seeing people in a stupor sitting there. That is awful.
guy was
I
dead.
thought you
And
were going to say like he jumped up or
no,
something.
she sat down next to a dead guy on BART. And no one like noticed when he slumped over. No one called
Oh my
911. No
God.
one said we have a medical emergency aboard the train. The man just died sitting there in that seat. God knows how long he'd traversed the bay.
Oh,
And
that
that's
is
that.
so awful. What does that say about us as a society? We don't want to become desensitized to things like mass shootings, but we also don't want to be desensitized to stuff like this.
Yeah.
But we are. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have been scared to even touch the guy. What if he was, what if he
Right.
had a knife because he's defending himself and he wakes up and he slashes me? I don't freaking know. That's, I give it to her for being brave enough to, try to rouse the guy, but that is a tragedy. Not just for him and his loss of life, but for us as a society, that there could be a dead person riding public transit for
Right.
God knows how long. And it takes us that long to
And
figure
she
out.
turned to people and said, does anyone know how long he's been here?
Oh my
Can someone help me, contact the operator of the train so that we can,
Yes,
you
get
know,
him off.
get him off, call someone, call for help, do whatever. No one knew.
That is so
No one knew.
awful. Oh, that's awful. That is awful. Well, that's San Francisco, and this is
I
Florida.
know. What a Debbie Downer story, right? But I mean, I was shocked by that. I
Yeah.
was shocked by it. It
I
was
am shocked, but yeah, and
surprising.
it's not just a San Francisco thing. I shouldn't say this is San Francisco. This is, you go to some states, especially all across the United States, there's drug problems all across. I mean, it's just we get the headlines because everyone pays attention to us. So, when the spotlight's on you all the time, everyone notices everything bad. Um, and it sucks. I mean, if you go to West Virginia or any other, honestly, any state, the drug problem is rampant across the United States, and it's really sad. I do want to bring in Florida here, though, because just as people would be like, I would never live in California. Don't you? I hear this all the time, or at least I see it all the time on social media. Good luck in California. I don't ever want to live in your woke state. Blah blah
Good.
blah.
Then I say, sayonara, sucker.
Yeah,
Good
like
Lord.
keep your
Good
butt
luck.
out of here. Keep
Don't
your
let
butt.
the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Exactly. Very well said. Because honestly, I wouldn't want to live in a state like Florida. I love how DeSantis loves to proclaim that that's a no woke state. We have our freedoms. And he's yet yanking people's freedoms and safety away from him by quietly signing these bills. I mean, obviously, it's going to make the news. Well, the latest is today, lawmakers in Florida passed a bill that would require people to use bathrooms that line up with their sex assigned at birth. My first question is, who's going to check? Seriously. I mean, that's what they keep saying. Like, well, the students can only play the sports in the gender that they were assigned at birth. Okay, so now we're looking at children's genitals. Now we're going to have a guard outside bathrooms checking the genitals of people that walk in. If
ma'am,
you don't look
a little
womanly enough.
Can I, I'd like to see your parts.
Exactly. Like how is this going to be? And this is a valid question. I'm not being funny. How is something like this even being enforced? Because the only way I see it being enforced is Tom, Dick, and Harry deciding that you look too manly or not womanly enough, because that's the problem, right? If a woman, a transgender man, tries to use the male bathroom, I don't think any man is going to care. It's the other way. I mean, largely, I would say that people have a problem with, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, because dollars to donuts, before this whole hoopla and everybody putting the spotlight again on the transgender community, you have likely gone to the bathroom with someone within the transgender community and didn't even know it. Why? Right. Because they're transgender. And it's just ridiculous. And just let people pee and poo. Like, can we just stop doing this? So this is the wording of the bill. People who enter bathrooms designated for the opposite sex could face trespassing charges. It includes exemptions for situations involving bathroom use by children under the age of 12, seniors, and people with developmental disabilities. It defines a female as being a person belonging at birth to the biological sex, which has the specific reproductive role of producing eggs. It defines a male as a person belonging at birth to the biological sex, which has the specific reproductive role of producing sperm. We are bringing down to our parts, and there's no gray area in Florida. And it's sad. And again, this is going to lead to people targeting those within the transgender community. That's what's going to happen. Someone needs to go to the bathroom, and they're either a transgender woman just trying to go to the bathroom, and she looks like a woman, she's dressed like a woman, and now you're telling this woman to go into the men's bathroom because that's safe. Because that transgender woman is going to walk into a men's bathroom in Florida and not be targeted and not be beat and not be scared for their lives. That's what you're telling me, Florida. I'm frightened for this community. I really am.
It's their hot button issue.
It's so freaking annoying. It's so annoying.
It's their lightning rod. Oh, let's call attention to this. Oh, the transgender. Really? I said this
It's
the
not
other
the
day.
biggest thing that's the problem. You know what I mean?
When you were, I said, and I believe this. People are going into the bathroom to do their business and get out.
Yes.
They're not lingering. They don't want to stay there and check you out. And if somebody is leering at you, the chances are good they're not a transgender person. There's some weird dude in there who's, whatever.
Exactly.
And how often has that ever happened to you?
And that's the thing, right?
Never.
I mean, look at all of the stories about people being molested in bathrooms, and who is it? So we're not talking about drag queens and trans and people in the
Straight white
transgender
dudes.
community.
Right.
Yeah, and it's sad and it's ridiculous.
That's why you don't let your kids go to the bathroom by themselves, because you hear
Exactly.
those stories. But never once as a woman or any other woman that I know
No.
attractive women have ever had any issue in a bathroom, because transgender people that are going in there, they're just going in to pee and they're going out.
Yes.
It's
Just leave
there's a
them
no people
alone.
don't linger in a public bathroom. They just do their business and go.
And I know that there's, we were talking about, states that we wouldn't want to visit and wouldn't want to live in. You saw this one story about Lizzo, right? She had a show in, this was Tennessee, I think. And Tennessee was trying to have that anti-drag law where you
Yeah,
couldn't
oh
be
yeah.
drag in
They do
in
have one.
Tennessee.
You can't have a drag performance on public property.
I
That's what
thought
it
that
is.
I thought that it was overturned. I thought that the court had said
Oh,
that
I thought it
it was
was.
temporarily,
Maybe
yeah, it was
I
temporarily halted
okay,
after
because I think the
theater
governor
group
signed
sued.
it, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so Governor Bill Lee signed it into law, but then the law was temporarily halted
Yeah.
after a theater group sued over free speech, like
Yeah.
and artistic expression. And if you don't want to see a drag show, don't go to a drag show, friggin' morons. But I love what Lizzo said, because people were saying, don't bring your show to Tennessee because she has, she supports the drag and LGBTQ community, and she made this statement that I thought was awesome. She was basically saying, why would I not want to go to where people need to hear this message the
Right.
most? And it reminded me of the travel ban that California ended. Remember, don't go to these states.
Yep.
State officials couldn't go to these states that had anti-LGBTQ laws.
Mhm.
And then I forget who it was saying, look, this isn't working. This could be used as an outreach. Maybe it can. I don't know how we get through to people like DeSantis or Tennessee Governor Lee. I don't know how you get across to people like that. Can you do it through music? Can you do it because you're the most amazing person, as Lizzo is? I hope so, but I worry that it's just actually targeting or putting a target on people. Like, for instance, if you go to a Lizzo show and there's transgender people or drag queens there, are those that hate them, like literally hate them, going to target them? I hope that doesn't happen. But I
Well, and
love that Lizzo wanted to go anyway.
I think all these laws and this finger pointing and these, what's happening right now is stirring up the pot of aggression toward transgender people.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, but how do you stop it? I mean, do we just have to wait for the next hot button issue and hope that it's not your group, that it's not a group that you're part of? Because
Well,
that's
I
the
think
whole thing.
the hope is that if in this next election, Republicans are using, transgender issues as a lightning rod and the term woke as a lightning rod, that more people will vote against them and they'll realize those two things didn't work. That,
Yeah,
Americans don't care about that. They don't
I hope
care about
so.
your whole attack on the woke culture. They don't care about your attack, they're not buying your attack on
I
transgender
hope
people.
so. I
And
don't
so, and
know.
maybe if that message is sent loud and clear, maybe they'll look for the next thing.
But then I'm scared what the next thing is.
Yeah.
It's it just boggles my mind who they choose to target. And it happens to be groups that are already targeted just for
Right.
trying to live in their truth. And now we're just going to target them even more. I just can't stand DeSantis. I hope that the inklings that he's not really gaining traction within the GOP is true. I hope that Donald Trump actually gets held accountable for the many things he's been accused of doing. But it scares me for people that, especially that are part of the LGBTQ community, because all they want to do is be left alone to live their lives. Nobody's asking you to be like them or live like them or anything, but just leave them alone and let them be happy.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really be that freaking hard. So, DeSantis, by the way, has said that he is planning on signing that bill.
Did you just
So,
use the F word?
no, I said frickin', didn't I?
Oh,
Did
okay.
I?
I don't know. My ears heard something else.
I hope I didn't, but you never
Well,
know. These
you
things can
you
slip out of my
probably
mouth
did.
at any time. If
Maybe
there was
I
ever
just
a
wish you
moment,
did.
you guys tell me in the comments if I did.
I just wish you said that. That's all.
Yeah, I think I said frickin'. I don't know. Let's
Shouldn't
not
be so
start dropping the F
hard.
bombs everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One last story before Kim's news. And this is kind of a business story. And I love it because my friend texts me today and she's like, where did your dad find this one beach house? I think it was in Aptos. And this was a few years ago. It was for my mom's birthday. I want to say it was probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago. there's one thing you need to know about my mother. When she wants something, she wants exactly what she asked for, nothing more, nothing less. And for this particular birthday, she wanted a beach house on the beach with my brother, who was going to fly in with his wife and kids, and me and my husband and our kids. And she wanted it on the beach. So we booked this room through, like, I think Airbnb or VRBO, one of them.
Right.
And they double booked it. And we found out the day we were supposed to go.
Uh-oh.
And so and my brother had flown in from Arizona, so we're all there. And so my brother and I are just like, because my dad's just not, he's not computer savvy enough to find something really quickly. And it's like, we need to leave today. Time is ticking. He's already flown in. He has a ticket to fly out. We want to get to the beach. And so we're looking. And everything that we see, it's like near the beach, across the street from the beach.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like
on the beach.
Like,
yeah.
And so every time we found like a million listings, and every time we sent it to my mom, she's like, no. And then she started getting frustrated. She's like, I don't know how many times I need to say this. I want it on the beach, or I don't want to go at all. She was literally like, the whole family's there, but we're not going if she doesn't get what she wants. Oh, tell me about it. Finally, we find this amazing house. And I'm going to tell you, she's always right about these things. Like, I want what I want. And if I don't get it, I don't want to do it. It's not what I want. I don't want to pack up my beach stuff, even walk across a busy street. I want to open the door and walk onto the beach.
Feet in sand. Yes.
Yes. Now, it cost my dad a very, 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 very pretty penny. But my friend was texting me today about the house. I'm like, dude, that one was really expensive. I'm talking like $1,000 a night expensive.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, it was huge, huge house. It was one of those things where my dad totally overpaid because it was just, we need to get this woman happy.
But you know what? I mean, even though it was that expensive, you guys will probably never forget that trip.
Never.
We'll
I mean, it
remember
was
that house, that
amazing,
that beach, everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. But what it did put in the back of my mind on that note is really being cautious about using these vacation rental companies, because I was pissed. I'm like, look, we have a birthday. We have people that flew in. You double booked it. Why is that our fault? Well, obviously, one of the most popular vacation rental sites, short-term rentals, is Airbnb. And Airbnb has been facing a lot of criticism for, one, the fact that they kind of do bait and switch, right? I want a home rental that's $200 a night. And then you put it in, you find the best house, you fall in love with it. And then the fees and the cleaning and the da-da-da-da-da. And it's like 2 to 3 times as much as you wanted to pay when all is said and done. And that's BS. So what they're going to do is they're changing how their homes are listed. They're trying to include everything. But what I found to be the funniest things is they're also going to put in the description, before you even book it, as you're looking for it, what you need to do as far as chores to check out of the home. Because that was the other thing. All of a sudden they're like, you need to do laundry, you need to vacuum, you need to do this. And it's like,
I got the garbage. Yeah.
Right. No, I don't mind bagging the garbage, but I'm not taking cans out to the street. I'm not doing it. I'm on vacation. If I wanted to do all this stuff, I would have kept my ass at home. If I felt like cleaning a house, I'd clean my own freaking house, right? I mean, that's not going to do it. So let's see. One new policy is the fact that they're going to have a chore list. One host, for example, has changed her approach, no longer requests any tasks, thank you, from visitors upon checkout. Instead, she charges an extra cleaning fee in the event that a rental has been left in a state that would require extra work for the cleaners. I would want to know, though, what's the checklist for that? I mean, if I don't make the bed, if I don't put the sheets in, that's not any more work for the cleaners. They should be changing the sheets anyway. If I don't vacuum, if there's crumbs on the floor, you should be vacuuming anyway. So,
okay, but if your kid dumps an entire bag of Cheetos on the floor,
right. Well, yeah.
Then you have to leave it in somewhat a presentable, way.
Yeah. Well, users will be able to provide ratings on checkout tasks. And so if they get a lot of negative ones, like you have to do too much, you'll be made aware of that. There's also Airbnb rooms, which makes it easier for people to stay in spare bedrooms, which is something I would not want to do. If I'm going to do Airbnb, I want the whole damn house, or I'm not going.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
But that was the whole point at the beginning of Airbnb. You could rent out your couch. You could rent out your
Yeah.
spare
They
room. You
still
could do all that.
can.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
really weird. And then there's also an interface that will allow you to book longer stays. Longer stays will also have reduced fees after the 3-month mark, which once you get into the 3-month mark, I kind of feel like you're just all of a sudden renting the place instead of. Although my friends that moved back to Idaho, they left what? They left in March. So March, April, they're in their 3rd month and they're in an Airbnb because they haven't
Oh.
found their perfect house yet.
Did they
So
give
I
you a
literally,
discount when you do like multiple months?
well, that's what they're saying. Like
Yeah,
longer
yeah.
stays, you get a better one. And so I don't know.
Okay.
I find it pretty cool, but I'm honestly, I'm kind of leaning back into the hotels. You know, give me a pool, give me some restaurants that I don't have to drive to. I
Yeah.
understand like having a big party at a beach house, and that's kind of fun. But I was like always the Airbnb. Now I'm hotel, I think.
I like a beach house in Hawaii.
Well, there you go.
I don't want to stay at a resort in Hawaii. I want a beach house. I want to
Yeah, but you had
make
the beach house that you love, so
I
there
want
you
to
go.
make myself believe that I live there for at least 2 weeks.
I know.
That's all.
I'm so excited for my Hawaii trip. It's coming up. I'm so excited. I love it. All right, so Kim McAllister is going to do some news. You have a bunch of guests coming up. Jefferson Graham's going to be up. He's going to talk about Photo Walks TV, which is his YouTube show that's on right after this show, right?
Right.
And then we'll have the San Francisco SPCA on as well. Some dogs that are up for adoption. So that is all coming up. Please, you guys, click that thumbs up button. I will be back tomorrow. It's Friday.
Yep.
There's a special astrology thing happening tomorrow that we're going to talk about. You ever believe like the Mercury's in retrograde or stuff like that? So we'll have a little bit of fun with that tomorrow.
You believe in astrology?
No, but I like to have fun with it. And this is just kind of fun. It's also Cinco de Mayo on Friday. So I'm sensing that I should do something Mexican themed. What do you think?
Yeah.
You think I have to?
I think you do. I think you have to find the best Mexican restaurant in San Jose.
Oh,
yes.
There is no such thing. I already
Best
hands
burrito?
down no. There is no such thing as the best Mexican.
chimichanga in San Jose.
All right, you guys can email it to me. Email thenickymadoroshow@gmail.com. Right there. That's also the one you can give the PayPal donations. I mean, I think it's extremely hard. Although I saw, like, you know, those birria tacos. They'd come with the consomme. I don't know if you know about that. I saw one. I'm not even kidding. It was this big. I might try to find that one.
That's that big?
It's that big. So they get the gigantic tortillas and they fry it up on the griddle.
How do you fit that in your mouth, Nikki?
Wouldn't you like to go? No, Kim McAllister. I might just have to show you on Friday if I get it. All right. I will again be back tomorrow. Thank you, Kim, for finishing off the show. Again, I am at a fundraiser for the Recovery Cafe San Jose. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. But stay tuned because Kim has a big show coming right up.
And so we figured out the video. Of course, we already talked to Jefferson Graham, and we already spoke with Krista from the San Francisco SPCA. I want to comment, though, on something that has been going on in the chat while the video was going on, and that is talking the conversation about transgender bathrooms. And I just want to, first of all, align myself with you, Murphy, because it doesn't feel fine when your child may not use the bathroom at any government-owned public spaces. Yeah, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. Yes, Grady, you did get Nikki. And to Murphy's point, I just want to say, Chris, I couldn't disagree with you more. You know, I appreciate that you are here and that you make us think about things sometimes, offering different opinions. And I love that you're here anyway, even though I'm often don't agree with you. But in this case, I think the things you're saying are really dangerous to people. I think it seems that maybe you have swallowed the line from the conservatives about transgender people being dangerous, and they're not. They're not dangerous. Drag performers are not dangerous. Transgender people are not out to steal your children or mess with women in bathrooms or anything else. I think that's a huge line. It's a giant wad of mass hysteria, and just leave people alone. You know, stop spreading this kind of stuff that only serves to, as I said earlier, stir the pot of violence against people that are transgender. It's not fair to them. And I agree with something Lori said earlier. that there's a minuscule number of perverts everywhere, regardless of laws. They've always existed. They'll continue to exist no matter what you do. And they're not exclusively transgender or anything else. So I really think you're not being fair. I have to say that. And I know we've gone way, way late because I couldn't figure out the video. So thank you for that. I did put together a little bit of news because Nikki was talking about the newscast and that I would do news. And so the only things that I haven't really mentioned on the show is the problem on Wall Street today with stocks lower because of fears about the whole banking sector. So what we saw today is shares in regional banks fell pretty hard. The Pac West stock fell more than 50%. Western Alliance shares lost more than 35%. So that's something that happened today as well. Also, there's a situation unfolding in Georgia. They're investigating multiple deaths in different areas, including a McDonald's restaurant. They've got a large police presence in the town of Moultrie, north of the Florida-Georgia state line. No confirmation that these multiple incidents are connected, but something is unfolding there. And here's a story that I didn't mention earlier. The National Weather Service says there was another tornado in Los Angeles this morning. It was according to the Weather Service, an EF0 tornado reached 75 miles per hour, briefly touched down near Carson and Compton. That was at about 8:45 this morning. Minor damage to buildings, cars, and trees in this area. If confirmed, it would be the third tornado to hit the greater Los Angeles area and Southern California, with 2 in March, 1 in Santa Barbara County, and 1 in Montebello. That was the strongest in 40 years. You wonder what in the world is happening. And of course, NBA playoff action continues tonight. Warriors against the Lakers in San Francisco. So I'll say go Warriors as well. I want to thank you for being here and for bearing with me as I screwed up the video and everything else. As always, the conversation is awesome. I love you guys in the chat, except for you, Bert-tastic. I see you. For now, though, let's say goodbye. We'll be back with Nikki tomorrow, but here's Jacob. Bye, guys.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.